Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with various win for the Most Wanted 9-hole cup. 3 courses are involved in this 9-hole cup, and that is the Nordic Fjords, Sequoia Creek and the White Cliffs. Make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. If you're looking for the best guides on the market for tour play and or tournament play, you go to patreon.com/golf-tommy. If you don't want to type that into your browser, you scan the QR code here on the screen and you will get directly there. You can start as low as $2.50. Follow the info box on the right hand side to get the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that they're also all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there is always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. Sequoia Creek, a par 4, and now this is a one where in tailwind and in crosswind we're going to push hard because we do want to get the ball close to green. In headwind we're going to have to lay up either on the left side of the trees there, or we're going to have to lay up on the right side of the trees, and then it's going to be a wood club or a long iron from distance. But we're focusing on the most fun part with this hole, which is that we can get this ball towards the green, if not even on the green, if being lucky. Adjust max plus 10, and then I'm pushing out to max. You can see that I'm using 1.5 ball of curl and using max overpower. Obviously, possessing clubs such as Apocalypse level 6, 7 or 8, you're not really going to have to go max overpower, because obviously the more topspin will help you and reduce the needed overpower on this drive. You can see now we are on green, we have a putt for an eagle, and that's obviously worth the risk for what involves going into the rough or into the sand if you're doing a poorly drive. Again, if you do have a headwind, we lay up. If we do have a crosswind or a tailwind, we're gonna push to get close to green. If you end up with a wedge just around the green, you place EV School plus 20% and whatever power ball you are using. One of the tougher par 3s in the game to consistently make a hole-in-one on. This is par 3 of White Cliffs, and you can see that I'm playing on the pad before the water, and when you do have tailwind, this is the way to go really, if you do not want to fiddle around with a rough bump. But the thing we need to have in mind here is when we do have a tailwind, we have an extended ball guideline. So even though it looks like on the ball guideline that it will curve down towards the pin, it won't do that when it comes to the tailwind, because it will then fly and bounce too long. Maximum distance plus 30 is what I'm using here now, and leaving the ball guideline well short just because it will bounce way longer, and then every bounce will be way longer than what it looks like. Now aiming too far off to the left is obviously the problem. We need to have the balls to move a little bit closer to the sand with our first bounce if we would give ourselves a better chance for an hole-in-one. Sure, you can use side spin 4 or side spin 5 ball to move more left and give yourself more room, but here in this playthrough I'm focusing, and also on this hole guide, I'm focusing on free-to-play ball. For hole number 3, we are going to play over to the final fairway if we do have the wind for it. So if you do have a straight crosswind or you do have a tailwind, you can go directly to that island. If you do not, and let's say we have a headwind, we're going to have to bounce on the fairway island. That is that one there, you can see. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do really, especially if you do have a crosswind together with a headwind like we are having here now. 2 left spin and some top spin as well. Adjustment and maximum distance plus 10. Pushing up to max here now because I do need to use a little bit of overpower. 75% of the ball in left curl and a little bit of overpower, try to hit perfect. Bouncing very close to the rough line though, but still on the fairway. The goal is to get as close to the rough line at the top, so we do have some room to roll a little bit longer if we would like. Second shot, we play with our sniper, and here it's all about finding a consistent landing spot and also a consistent landing spot for the second bounce. If we do have a little tailwind, I would recommend to leave the ball guideline short of hole. If it is a crosswind, ball guideline to be just at a hole, and in headwind, ball guideline to go through the hole. In the video, I play max plus 10, which you will notice is definitely too much. So we do recommend, or I recommend, to play maximum distance, no elevation from absolute max line. Center the ball and hit perfect, and once again this shot is over adjusted, but at least you get an idea on how to attack the hole here on hole number 3, because hole number 3 here of the White Cliff is most definitely one of the, it looks easy, but it's actually a very tough drop to get consistently. Nordic Fjords, hole number 4. This is a par 3 that is very strange in many ways, besides if you do have the possibility to play with a backspin boost ball. But we're not going to do that here, because we do not have those balls on this account. So I'm going to use 2 right spin and around 4 to 5 backspin, depending on what wind angle I'm having. Looking for the tip of the ball guideline to go just by the divide in between the dark and the bright green square row. Adjustment here in the video, medium distance plus a 20. Center the ball and hit perfect, and you will see yourself give yourself at least a chance for an hole-in-one. But this is a par 3 that I do not really expect many hole-in-ones. I do expect myself at least to be close. But as I touch base on the backspin boost play, I would say playing with a backspin boost ball allows you to go directly on green. And as bouncing before the green, trying to bounce over the water and stuff like that on a fairly bumpy fairway is so hard, then going with a backspin boost ball will actually remove a lot of obstacles and give yourself a much better chance for an hole-in-one. But once again, you need to play with a backspin boost ball to achieve that possibility. White Cliffs, and here we're going to do our very best to get the ball over to the top right of the fairway. Why? It's because getting ourselves closer to green will allow us to attack the pin for an eagle in a much better way than if we do have to play it straight down the left. But let's say like this, that you do have a headwind. We cannot play over to the right then, because then we would need to play with the best premium ball and also one of the better clubs. But if having crosswind and tailwind, we can use our Apocalypse, preferably the Apocalypse because of the curl, and use all the topspin, which is 5.8 in this instance. More would honestly be better, like around 7 topspin would be the best in my opinion. All the side spin that you can, adjust max plus 20, and then again the overpower and the curl will vary depending on what wind angle you have off tee, but we do want to get the ball down right. Second shot, it's either going to be a wedge or it's going to be a short iron from minimum distance. Now, you can decide to go for a max backspin shot to go past the pin and roll back. Or you can do what I'm doing in the video, which is called a dunk. I love the dunk on this hole, I'm not gonna lie. You can see here now that I'm not using max backspin here, and I'm also using all the left spin. And the reason for that is that let's say that I would be hitting the pin, which is a risk if you're not doing everything properly. Then instead of then falling with all the backspin down into the sand, the lesser backspin used is going to then allow you to hit the pin and still then stay on the green, or at least roll off onto a part that is not going to be sand. And that is something to actually have in mind if you're going with the dunk. So it's up to you to do what you want to do. Minus 20% elevation and whatever club distance you have. So it's going to be somewhere between minimum distance and medium distance. Sequoia Creek, hole number 6. So we are going to use our quarterback to start with, because we're going to look into having the first bounce on the fairway to then start over to bounce into the rough and roll out. Obviously, the quarterback is a perfect club when we do play in tailwind, but when it is crosswind and when it is headwind, I do recommend to play with an extra mile or with an Apocalypse or with a Thor's hammer instead, and therefore I do have the extra mile suggested in the info box to the right. Max plus 20 is the adjustment using half a ball of curl to the right. And you can notice as well that I'm using a power 5 ball. The reason for a power 5 ball is to give us a possibility to play with our sniper on the second shot if we do get the distance enough. But now you're seeing that I do suggest a Cataclysm here on the second shot, and that's because if you're not having Sniper in level 9 or level 10, then it's going to be the Cataclysm or the big dog to ensure that you do have the distance. But once again, if you do have the correct club, and you get the correct distance of T, then the Sniper is definitely the far superior club due to its ball guideline, because we do want to be able to aim with the ball guideline towards the pin for the best chance for an Albatross, because now with the Cataclysm it becomes unfortunately too much guesswork, and me missing it to the left could be just due to me aiming too far left as not having the fully developed ball guideline to follow. 20% elevation on the second shot, and it's going to be somewhere between medium and maximum distance. Sequoia Creek, par 3. This is one of my favorite par 3s, especially from second and third tee. And we're gonna go for a rough bump. The rough bump most definitely offers the best possible chance here for us to drop an hole-in-one, in my opinion, at least in a consistent way. We're looking for the sticky spot that you can find there at the center of the green by having a very centered ball guide or straight ball guideline. Adjustment, medium distance plus 10. You can see that you're using 2 right spin and a little bit of backspin to have the ball guideline to the hole. If we do have a straight tailwind, I would recommend to have the ball guideline short of pin. The most difficult part will become if you do have a headwind. Ball guideline through the hole, but also then you will have to use a push-up, or you're going to have to do overpower. This because we adjust from a higher to a lower point. Now bouncing down in the rough, rolling to be right at pin for a lovely hole-in-one here on hole number for the par 3 here of the Sequoia. When what needs to be said here with this hole of the Sequoia Creek is that you can obviously play bouncing on the fairway before the rough as well. Will, however, be less consistent in terms of going for the hole-in-one. So it's up to you to decide which way you want to play. Hole number 8. There are 2 ways of playing this hole, and one way is that when we do have tailwind, we're going to push the ball to have its first bounce above the water but before the small bunker. And the reason we want to do that is because this will be the safest way of getting to green and will also give you a chance for an hole-in-one. If we do have a crosswind or a headwind, we shall not go over the water because we don't have the distance for that. So then we're going to have to bounce before the water using a lot of topspin and do a double bounce over the bunker. Adjustment max plus 10, and here I'm using a little bit of overpower just to help the ball carry over the water. If you do play with a power 4 or a power 5 ball, the overpower will not be necessary many of the times, so that is strongly recommended. 1.5 backspin, 2 left spin. You can see that the ball comes in with a fairly nice speed to drop for an hole-in-one, but at least we secure the eagle in a very nice way. I would definitely see, or like, not I, but we will all see hole-in-ones on people's scorecards if we do have a tailwind. I'm sure of that. Hole number 9 in Nordic Fjords. We're gonna play an NMT, so do not touch the target until it's time to adjust the rings. A maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment, and once we have adjusted that, we're pushing up to max and going max overpower. Here, our goal is to go as far down the fairway possible, so the clubs with more power and with more topspin is definitely to recommend here. I'm playing with a Titan ball as well. You can play with a Titan or a Kingmaker, or honestly, playing with a power 4 or power 5 ball would most definitely help you even more on the second shot, especially if you do want to give yourself the best possible chance for an Albatross. So let's say like this, that you would be having a power 4 or power 5 ball. It would allow you to play with a sniper on the second shot, which will then give you a good ball guideline. Now we don't really have a good ball guideline, so it's become a pretty big guess in terms of where is the ball guideline rolling onto the green. Is it too hot? Is it too short? And stuff like that. Things like that is not something we get with a Cataclysm level 6 or any clubs that do have less than 4.0 in ball guideline. So stuff like that is something to think about. So the best possible scenario here would be that you could play with a premium ball with a power 4 or a power 5. You can blast it down and allow you then to play with a sniper with a better ball guideline to get a better chance to drop it from distance. Maximum distance plus 10, or let's say like this, whatever club distance you have plus 10% elevation for the second shot. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with various wind for the most wanted 9-hole cup. Make sure to go to patreon.com/golfclashtommy if you're looking for the ultimate tournament guides or the exclusive tour text guides. You can obviously bundle that together for as low as $2.50. So in the end here, thank you so much for watching and a massive good luck in your Golf Clash game.